Hey guys, let's talk about dental plaque. What even is dental plaque? I mean, we always hear our dentist or our hygienist talking about it, and we know it's bad. So plaque is basically a biofilm of bacteria. So a biofilm is basically when all these clusters of bacteria, they start bundling together. And when they bundle together, that's what's called a biofilm. And there are biofilms all around us. We have different types of biofilms in our body. We have different types of biofilms in our environment. And one experiment you might remember is, if you ever did this in biology class, where you have a petri dish and you start scrubbing different environments and you put it on that petri dish and you see all that bacteria that's growing on it. That is a biofilm. So just like everywhere else, we have a biofilm that forms in our mouth. So we have a biofilm that forms on our teeth, we have biofilms that form under our gums, and these are things that can contribute to things like cavities, gum disease, bleeding gums, and all sorts of issues you have in your mouth. Now, what is the difference between plaque and tartar? A lot of the times we hear these used words interchangeably, and usually we think that one term means the other, but actually they're different. So plaque is something that initially forms on your teeth. So let's say you just had your teeth cleaned and you get home and the next day you're gonna brush your teeth, or that night you're gonna brush your teeth. What you're cleaning away is this dental plaque. Because even after like 5 minutes after getting your teeth cleaned, you have this plaque and this biofilm start forming on your teeth. Now, usually you won't see this. It's not like your teeth are gonna look gross 5 minutes after a cleaning. This biofilm is gonna be at a microscopic level, but let's say you don't brush your teeth for a while, well, that's when you're gonna see more and more of this biofilm build up, and that's when you'll see this plaque start to get more and more thicker, and that's what's going to lead to some disgusting looking teeth. Now, the good thing is that this plaque can be removed at home. So if you're brushing your teeth regularly and you're flossing regularly, you should be cleaning away this dental plaque. Now, tartar, on the other hand, you cannot clean this away at home. So no matter how much you brush your teeth and how much you floss, tartar will stay. And tartar is actually what has to be removed at a dental cleaning. So this is when the hygienist is scraping at your teeth and scraping right along your gum line to clean away all this tartar buildup. Now, how does this tartar buildup form? I mean, if you're brushing your teeth every day and you're flossing every day, how can this plaque become tartar? So tartar is basically plaque that has gotten mineralized and it has formed this protective barrier. And that protective barrier is preventing you from cleaning it at home. So this happens because of a lot of different things. And a lot of it has to do with your saliva. And a lot of times we get tartar buildup on our lower front teeth here and on the tongue side of those lower front teeth. And the reason that this is such a common spot for tartar to build up is because we have a salivary duct that sits right next to those teeth and is constantly secreting saliva. So our saliva has these minerals in it, and what happens is when our plaque meets the saliva, these minerals start incorporating with that biofilm, and that's what causes this plaque to get mineralized and harden, and that's why you have this tartar buildup. Even if you're brushing your teeth and flossing your teeth, sometimes people just can't avoid this. That's why it's so important to go to your dentist every 6 months and make sure you get your teeth cleaned and your teeth checked to remove this tartar. So the problem with having this biofilm and this tartar constantly on your teeth is it can start to inflame your gums. So this is what's known as gingivitis. And people who have gingivitis, they tend to have bleeding gums, their breath smells bad, and their gums just aren't healthy. Over time, if this plaque and tartar isn't cleaned away and this tartar continues to grow, then it can start to spread underneath your gums. As this tartar starts to spread underneath your gums, it causes more and more inflammation. And if this goes on, it can lead to bone loss, because the bones that surround your teeth, since they start getting inflamed, that bone starts to recede, and that over time can make your teeth more and more loose. And this is a very common reason that people have to lose their teeth at an earlier age. Now, on top of causing this bad breath and this gum disease and potential tooth loss, this biofilm of bacteria on your teeth can also cause cavities. And the reason is these bacteria can secrete a lactic acid byproduct, and this acidic byproduct can damage our teeth, demineralize our teeth, and cause holes to form in our teeth. One of the ways it does that is when we eat sugar. So our diet plays a big role in the bacteria in our mouth and what bacteria are going to be dominating over other bacteria. So these bad bacteria in our mouth, the bacteria that causes gum disease and these cavities, they like eating our sugar and our carbohydrate leftovers. So if we're eating something that has sugar in it, these bacteria will eat that sugar, and in turn they will release that acidic byproduct. Now, if we're eating some other foods like protein or fats, these bacteria can't eat that and they won't be able to secrete those acidic byproducts. Now, that doesn't mean that you should never eat sugar or never eat carbohydrates again, but you should have this in mind anytime you're eating something that has a lot of sugar in it, because now you know what's affecting the bacteria in your mouth. So what is a good way to remedy this? What is a good way to prevent this plaque and tartar and cavities in your teeth? What's a good way to, if you already have a lot of this plaque and tartar, what's a good way to break this down and prevent it from getting worse? Well, the first thing is you have to start going to your dental visits. So if you're not going to your dentist every 6 months, that's going to be the first thing you need to change, because you have to be going to your dentist every 6 months to be removing this tartar and removing any plaque that's on your teeth to keep everything clean. And number two, the second important thing is you have to have good oral hygiene. So you have to be brushing your teeth and you have to be flossing your teeth every single day. Now, I know this sounds basic, but if you can't be doing the basics, then you can't expect to not have this plaque and tartar buildup and these cavities on your teeth. And it's not just about brushing and flossing. You want to make sure that you're doing this correctly. So with brushing, obviously you want to be brushing in the morning and you want to be brushing at night before you go to sleep. And when you're brushing, each time you want to aim for 2 minutes. Now, why do we say aim for 2 minutes? It's not just a magic number, right? The reason is that it takes roughly 2 minutes to make sure you clean every surface of your teeth, because you want to make sure you're cleaning the front part, the back part of your teeth, and the biting part of all your teeth. So just because you hit 2 minutes and you're cleaning one spot, that doesn't mean you're brushing your teeth correctly. So definitely ask your hygienist or your dentist next time you go if you don't think you're brushing correctly and you want to learn different techniques. And also with flossing, you want to make sure you're doing that correctly as well. Because with flossing, you're not just cleaning in between your teeth, you're also cleaning underneath the gums. And the way you do that is with a technique called C-shaped flossing. So the way C-shaped flossing works is you're curving the floss into a C shape and you're rubbing this up and down and you're going underneath your gums slightly. And if you're flossing in between your teeth, you want to make sure you go underneath the gums on one side and then go to the other side and go underneath the gums on that side. So we know that these biofilm of bacteria, they can break down our teeth, they can release acids that damage our teeth, they can damage our gums, cause gum disease, and even potential bone loss and cause potential tooth loss. So aside from the basics, the next important thing, and this may actually be the most important thing, is fixing your diet. And we're gonna start with sugar. Now, we talked a little bit about sugar, but if you wanna basically guarantee you're never gonna get any cavities and never get any gum disease, then the first thing would have to be to eliminate sugar from your diet. Now, for a lot of you, that's gonna be pretty hard. You know, how are you gonna avoid eating tiramisu every weekend? But our diet is the biggest contributor to getting cavities and gum disease. So if we can eliminate sugar, which is one of the biggest issues in our diet, then a lot of the issues that are in our mouth will go away as well. And it's not just sugar. Basically, any carbohydrate can be digested by those bacteria in our mouth and in turn secrete lactic acid as a byproduct and damage our teeth. So this gets hard, right? Because how can we prevent cavities and gum disease when majority of our diet, which is a lot of carbohydrates, can contribute to cavities and gum disease? Well, a big part of that is just controlling the frequency that you're eating a carb-heavy diet. So if you're snacking on like crackers or goldfish or something that has a lot of carbs in it throughout the day, then you're constantly exposing these bacteria to the food that they love the most, to these sugars, to these carbohydrates, and they're constantly going to be secreting more and more acids on our teeth and damaging our teeth. And that's also going to be constantly supplying these biofilm of bacteria with more and more food to keep them alive and keep them strong. Now, what foods can you start adding to your diet? Well, a big vitamin that we need is vitamin C. Now, you might have heard that pirates back in the day, the big problem they had was scurvy. And you get scurvy from a lack of vitamin C, a vitamin C deficiency. Scurvy is characterized by a lot of dental problems. You have these swollen and bleeding gums, and you have these wounds that don't heal very well, which again can cause a lot of bleeding. And the reason is that we need vitamin C for our collagen. And our collagen is very important for our skin, our joints, our ligaments, our cartilage, and also our capillaries and our blood vessels. And if we don't have enough of this vitamin C and we don't have enough of this collagen, this is what's gonna cause more and more of that bleeding. And this is why a lot of people who have a vitamin C deficiency are more likely to have bleeding gums. So some great sources of vitamin C are 1, green vegetables, and number 2 is citrus fruits. So like oranges are a great example. Another important mineral that we need is calcium. We always hear that we need calcium for healthy and strong bones, and it's the same case with our teeth. So great sources of calcium are going to be dairy products, so milk, cheese, things like carrots, and broccoli are also great sources of calcium. Now, obviously, we need calcium for our healthy bones and healthy teeth, but we also need things that can help us absorb our calcium and help us regulate our calcium levels. So this is why it's really important to have both vitamin K and vitamin D as well, because vitamin K is what helps us regulate our calcium levels, make sure they're not too high and not too low, and vitamin D is what helps us absorb our calcium. So vitamin K you can get from a lot of different leafy greens, and vitamin D, a big one, is just getting a lot of sunlight. Now I know getting a lot of sunlight can be hard, especially when it gets pretty cold outside like it's getting now in the winter, depending on where you live, obviously. So other good sources are drinking milk and also tuna. So if you start adding these vitamins to your diet and these different foods to get these vitamins into your diet, and you start improving your oral hygiene, you start getting rid of the sugar in your diet, this can really start to sort of change the bacteria complex that's in your mouth and get rid of some of those bad bacteria and slowly start getting more and more good bacteria in your mouth. Now, some other things I wanted to add are acidic foods. So we talked a little bit like, for example, oranges, how you can get vitamin C from there. I think you're gonna be fine with that. But acidic foods in general, like let's say you're drinking a soda or something, and let's say it doesn't have sugar, but it's like a diet soda. Well, a lot of these foods and a lot of these drinks are acidic. And the problem with that is, again, it's gonna be damaging and demineralizing our teeth. So just like the lactic acid byproducts from these bacteria in our mouth, how they damage our teeth, it's going to be the same thing when we have acidic beverages or acidic foods in our mouth. Now, these will present a little bit differently in your mouth. It won't look typically like a cavity. It'll look more like something called erosion. But still, it will be damaging your teeth, and it can even make your teeth look more yellow. So if you really want to have white teeth, definitely don't have acidic beverages. And some people are just going to be more prone to getting gum problems and cavity problems than others. For example, some people who are on a lot of medications, they tend to have a dry mouth because a lot of these medications, one of their side effects is a dry mouth. And not having a dry mouth means you don't have that saliva in your mouth. And we talked a little bit before about saliva and how saliva has a lot of minerals in it. And this is one of those things that can help turn that plaque that's on our teeth into tartar. Without the saliva, we don't have any of the antibacterial properties, and we don't have any of those minerals that are actually keeping our teeth healthy. And we don't have that saliva that's just gonna be washing away leftover food and leftover particles in our mouth. So this is gonna make us a lot more prone to getting gum disease and cavities. And we also see this in people who are mouth breathers. So just because you're not on medications, but if you're always breathing through your mouth as opposed to your nose, that breathing through your mouth will dry up all that saliva in your mouth, and this can cause the same things. It can cause bad breath, it can cause gum disease, it can cause cavities, and all sorts of problems. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. I will see you in the next video.